Hello, welcome to the Legislative Report. I'm State Representative Kate Harper of the 61st District in Montgomery County. When you hear the term sudden cardiac arrest, it probably brings to mind an adult with chronic heart trouble. But unfortunately, young people can be stricken too, especially young athletes. My colleague from Montgomery County, Representative Michael Verb, has made it his personal crusade to make sure that parents, students, officials, and coaches can spot the warning signs of sudden cardiac arrest and be aware of how to help someone before the problem becomes fatal. His bill addressing this was recently signed into law by Governor Corbett right in Montgomery County. I was privileged to be in attendance at the bill signing and would like to share portions of the event with you right now.
Good morning, Governor Corbett, Representative Michael Verb, distinguished members of the state legislature, guest physicians and members of the medical profession, families and guests of honor, our pastor and priests, faculty and staff of visitation, principals from our area schools, and students from St. Teresa of Avila, St. Eleanor, Pope John Paul II, and visitation schools. Welcome this morning to Visitation Parish and School for this very important occasion of the signing into law of House Bill 1610, sudden cardiac arrest legislation. It is my honor to welcome Governor Corbett to our school and introduce you, Governor, to our excellent faculty and the students from the previously named schools. On behalf of all of us, I would like to recognize and thank Representative Michael Verb for providing this opportunity for us, especially these students sitting on the stage and before us. The very young Mike Verb once sat where our students are this morning when he attended visitation school. If these walls could talk, imagine the stories we would hear from them. But we do know for certain that Michael Verb did graduate from visitation school in 1981 very proudly, and in the correct amount of years. And he went on to study at Kennedy-Kenrick High School, which became Kennedy-Kenrick High School. However, we are not sure if remembering his schedule was one of his main strengths. Mr. Verb is known to text or call me at all hours of the night and early morning, yes, sometimes 1 a.m., asking for help in opening classrooms or the gym for his many meetings for CYO and other events. With all of this as part of our history, this morning we are happy to express our pride that one of our many excellent graduates serves in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and has brought this bill to completion. God bless you, Mike. Bill signing ceremonies do not happen just anywhere, and at times they are even private. And so we realize the wonderful opportunity these students and all of us have today in witnessing Governor Corbett's signature to this bill. Students, we ask your very best behavior and attention as we join with our distinguished guests in the ceremony about to take place. You are watching a moment of history unfold, and may it become one of your memories to last for your lifetime. It is now my honor and privilege to introduce to you Representative Michael Verb to come to the podium to continue the program this morning. And thank you.
I invite you all to Westover in a week for my response to Sister's speech today. Sister, thank you for the very kind words. And Monsignor, I'm going to introduce a man. There's a number of families here who have lost loved ones. But, you know, I get a call from a local news reporter. And without that person's call, frankly, we wouldn't have a law, because I was threatened to go down to my office and meet with this man about an issue that was very passionate to him and his family. And I introduce to you Darren Sudman, who lost his wife here, Phyllis is here as well, they lost their son and took their loss and made it a mission. And the mission was to raise money and screen kids and save kids' lives. And without his family's passion and drive, and of course without the news reporter threatening me that one day, we probably wouldn't be here. So I introduce to you Darren Sudman.
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Thank you to Visitation for being such a gracious host. Thank you to all of the students who graciously agreed to leave class and come here for this assembly. I want to start my remarks by saying thank you to Jennifer Frederick, Josh Wiseman, Brian Kadunk, and Representative Mike Verb. The universe brought us together last year, April, and as a result, we're here today making a huge difference in the lives of students. Representative Verb, a big thanks to you and your staff for your tireless efforts. We did not realize the champion we were getting that day when we met in your office. Governor Corbett, thank you for your leadership and support on this issue. With your pen stroke here today, you are going to save the lives of children. A good friend of ours always says that we are members of a club that no one wants to join. Phyllis and I became members of that club on January 24th, 2005, when our 3-month-old son, Simon, died. There are other club members here today, the Rogers family, the Silva family, and the Fraser family. In fact, it was Akir Fraser's story that brought me to Representative Verb's office that day. Like in all clubs, the members get to decide what they want to get out of it. Our choice was simple. We wanted to make sure that we were the last members of this club. We don't want you to join. We want your kids to be safer, and this bill is a manifestation of our choice. We believe that there are 3 approaches to tackling sudden cardiac arrest and death in children. The approaches are not mutually exclusive. They work together in concert. The first approach is detection. We need to discover these conditions before they hurt our children. Simon's Fund works with schools and organizations to provide free heart screenings. To date, we've screened almost 4,000 hearts and helped at least 38 students discover potentially fatal heart conditions. Some of these students are sitting with us here today. This weekend, we'll be at the Leah Chorus Center with the Athlete Health Organization to provide physicals for over 1,000 high school students in Philadelphia. Every student will get an ECG exam. The second approach is reaction. How do we respond when a child collapses? By having AED devices spread throughout our communities and a population that knows how to perform CPR, we can save lives when these incidents occur. The third approach is education. The Sudden Cardiac Arrest Prevention Act accomplishes this. Representative Verb summed it up best when he said that cardiac arrest is now a household term. Parents will now be aware that sudden cardiac arrest kills at least 2,000 students every year, and they can guard against it. Coaches will now be aware that fainting is not acceptable, and Gatorade is not the remedy. As a state, we will take these symptoms seriously and do a better job of protecting our children. This is a tremendous step forward in our quest to save young lives, and we are proud to be a part of it. I'd like to close on a personal note. Phyllis and I cherish this moment. Simon would have been in first grade this year, positioned nicely between our daughter Sally and our son Jaden. We're really happy that they're here today. We're never going to get to go to Simon's soccer games, choir concerts, or graduations. Our moments with him are limited. This bill signing is one of those moments. This is our ceremony for him. So I want to close with a phrase from one of our favorite songs. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart, and now, whatever way our stories end, I know you will have rewritten mine. This legislation will be the handprint of Simon and Representative Verb on the hearts of children throughout Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Darren, we are thrilled to be able to make this day possible for you, but contrary to all the great words about me, I could have never done this without my colleagues. And a few of them are here with me today. Most of you know Senator Rafferty. You may not recognize the crutches, but that's what I had to do to get the Senate to run the bill. Senator Rafferty is with us today, as is Representative Harper, Representative Topol, Representative Bradford, Representative Quigley, Representative Scavello, all the way from the Pocono region, and also Representative Briggs, who is not only next to us as Representative Bradford is, but Representative Briggs was very instrumental in the concussion bill. So thank you all for being here. We had a press conference at a hospital, in Jefferson Hospital last year, and the head trainer of the Philadelphia Phillies, Scott Sheridan, left Citizens Bank Park to come be with us in the postseason. And we thought it was quite incredible that he was up there taking care of a press conference as opposed to taking care of the Phillies. He couldn't be with us today. He really wanted to be here. He was very inspirational and had a number of the Phillies engaged in this legislation. But the other part of that press conference was when you're in politics, there's a lot of stress. And when there's a lot of stress, the best partner you could have are the top cardiologists in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, for that matter, the country. And I'm very thankful for all of you that have come here. Dr. Shapiro, good to see you and see you before. But thank you so very much for being here and supporting this bill. This bill is education, it's awareness, it's making sudden cardiac arrest a household term, a household conversation. I've known of the Rogers family for a decade being involved here in visitation, but never knew how they lost their daughter until attending a wedding of Mr. Daniella's daughter and realizing that the legislation I've been worked on impacts so close to home. Every one of you that are here that have lost loved ones, or there's others who have been screened and detected and hopefully properly taken care of, all have a story, all have a sacrifice, and it's very special. This is what the legislature in Pennsylvania is all about, contrary to the Capitol Press Corps. We do good things with good people, and it's people like you that make our engines run, and we thank you. This legislation is very similar to the concussion bill. The concussion bill protects brains. This bill protects hearts. We are the first state, Governor, in our nation, when you sign this bill, to pass such a piece of legislation. And the only thing stopping the governor from signing this bill is me continuing to talk. And that we are so honored, Governor Corbett, to have you here. And to have him sign this bill live here at visitation, yes, my alma mater, but more importantly, a great hub for all of the fights that we have ahead of us to take over sudden cardiac arrest, to prevent children from dying, and to make sure we provide every tool from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to educate all of those involved in sports. That is what will make us proud in the legislature, and that's what will make us even more proud when you sign the bill, Governor. And without further ado, I introduce our good governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett.
It's the face of a loss that no family ever wants to imagine. The Sudmans stepped up to begin Simon's Fund and created a club, an organization, to ask parents to look at a harsh reality. 1 out of every 100 students in our school systems carries a potentially fatal heart condition. The Sudmans unfortunately discovered this when they lost their infant son, Simon. The family set out to warn others, and they developed an innovative program that helps to screen youngsters for heart defects. They were joined by the Frasers, who lost their son, Akir, to that same sudden cardiac arrest. They were supported by Michael and Diane Rogers, whose daughter Jackie died in 1996. And because of this selflessness, and in the face of this loss, the McCabe's, the Harringtons, and the Keeleys were spared that pain. Kyle and Drew and Eulalia were diagnosed at a Simons Fund heart screening event. They're with us now because of Simons Fund. Today I'm going to sign a law to fight further loss of further children. And as you know, it's a bill sponsored and promoted by Representative Mike Verb. Now, he told me to stick to my script. Sister, I'd like to hear the walls speak too. But then if we went to my grade school, St. Mary's of the Assumption in Glenshaw, Pennsylvania, I don't want those walls speaking to him. So this bill provides guidelines to inform students, to inform parents, and to inform coaches about the warning signs of sudden cardiac arrest. Students who want to participate in athletics will take home a list of symptoms, and their parents will read it. And the one thing I ask is the parents read it. As a parent, I know how many times something comes home and all of a sudden it gets pulled out of the book bag as somebody has to go back to school first thing in the morning. Here, Mom, here, Dad, sign this. Take a look at what you are signing. Don't just sign it. Read it. Sign it and send it back to school. And in short, if you read it, maybe even make a copy of it. You'll know the signs and the warning signs. And that's the biggest part of prevention, knowing what to look for. Coaches and game officials will also be trained, and that's the important part also to this bill, they'll be trained to recognize the sign of sudden cardiac arrest. And the law will mean that once they spot those signals, they take that student out of the game. It's better to be sidelined for the period of the game than it is to being lost forever. The law means that coaches will complete a sudden cardiac arrest training course offered by a provider approved by the Department of Health of Pennsylvania. As I said earlier, this is a law of prevention, born of very painful loss, and a spirit of generosity from these families who have seen beyond their own sorrow and have found hope for others. I'm especially grateful to the legislature who's joined us here today and the members that they represent, and Representative Verb, who's a strong ally in the House, and the determination of the members of the House and Senate who voted for this bill on behalf of their constituents. With that, I'm going to sit down and be happy to sign my name to this bill in honor of Simon, the Sudmans, the Frasers, and all of those who helped make this law. Thank you very much.
I'm State Representative Kate Harper, and you've been watching the signing of a new law that would educate and train people about sudden cardiac arrest. Joining me now is the prime sponsor of the bill, my colleague from Montgomery County, Representative Mike Verb of the 150th District. Representative Verb, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Kate.
You know, a lot of people are unaware that an athlete who looks very normal can suddenly drop dead on the field. What does your bill do?
Well, you know, with concussions and the legislation that was worked on with concussions, there was an impact. There was something noticeable to be aware of. Sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 killer of youth athletes, and basically our bill is focused on a few things, but prevention and awareness are the key. We want to make sudden cardiac arrest a household conversation. We want it to be at the kitchen table and the dinner table, having parents talking to their kids. A basic interview with your child, a basic conversation with your child can help prevent sudden death. Sudden cardiac arrest is an electronic disruption of a heart. Versus the traditional cardiac arrest that most of the viewers are seeing, as you said in your opening comments, that is a plumbing problem. With sudden cardiac arrest in this legislation, we are focused on the coaches, parents, and the participants in youth athletic programs to go to the Department of Health website, which we are putting together right now, and to review the facts that exist relative to symptoms of sudden cardiac arrest that happen. Loss of consciousness, fainting, dizzy, racing of the heart. There are several symptoms that only an athlete, only a child, only a parent are going to come across and become aware of. And we implore that these symptoms caught early enough can help, but we also suggest that everyone get screened.
Right. I was going to say that the tragedy that results when a young athlete drops dead on the court or on the field is bad enough. And is there anything that can be done? I mean, this is a new law now. It's not even a bill, it's a new law. So what does it do to make sure that doesn't happen to another family?
It's 60 days from the bill signing. So as we approach our fall season here, it will be in effect. And basically it mandates that coaches, players, and parents and participants in youth athletic programs go to the Department of Health website and review this training. We did not want to make this a mandate in terms of, an off-site testing location where people ended up, kind of shrugging it off and not going to it. We wanted to make this user-friendly. So the idea here is to educate people that are going to be on this website as to what the signs and symptoms are, and they are mandated to do this every year. We have top pediatric cardiologists helping us design this website from CHOP, Dr. Vetter, who's world-renowned in her efforts, who actually, she actually helped draft the bill as well. We just want to make sure that everyone involved in these programs reviews this training. We want people to understand that Gatorade and smelling salts from back in the earlier days are no longer the fixes to someone fainting on the field.
So somebody faints on a field, that could be a sign that they have a condition that could cause sudden cardiac arrest.
Right. We're not saying that a child who has just done sprints or other drills, excessive drills, we're not saying their heart shouldn't be racing, and we're not saying they shouldn't feel lightheaded. But what we are saying is when they're unexplained, when the heart begins to race, when there's other issues, the coach has an obligation at that point to remove that child from the field, and at that point the child must be cleared medically to come back.
All right. Now, another thing that the bill encourages but does not require would be screening. And at the press conference, the founders of Simon's Fund were there. What does Simon's Fund do?
Simon's Fund was started from the Sudmans, whose son Simon died at a very young age. The bill signing was held, as you said, in Montgomery County, where a child died in the mid-'90s that no one really knew what sudden cardiac arrest. Simon's Fund essentially was started by Darren and Phyllis. They raised money to go out to schools and do screenings. They've done over 4,000 screenings to date. There's about a 10% rate where people are found to have some type of an issue that need further screening. At our bill signing, we had survivors. We had kids who had gone through the screenings. Right behind my home, the Norristown Area High School, a kid died. So they went and held a screening there, and 3 more kids in that school were determined to need help, one of them needing a pacemaker. So wow. Simon's Fund, it's a great, I don't have the website handy. Certainly you can make it accessible in your website. But Simon's Fund is doing great things. They're raising money to go out to these schools and have professional cardiologists there to help screen children and see if there's a problem, which they can then seek additional medical care from their own provider.
But the children look perfectly normal and could be great athletes in addition, but they just have this weakness or something in their makeup that might cause a heart attack.
It's an electronic disruption. I mean, the most important conversation that also can occur is heart history in families. Unexplained heart histories that have existed, heart attacks. Heart attacks, as I found out in this, is not always about bad diet. This electronic disruption is often fatal. We would have liked to have had this bill mandate AEDs be everywhere, But as you understand, mandating a $3,000 AED everywhere becomes costly to programs. We're hoping that they do that on their own. And we hope to look at this bill's impact long term in terms of awareness. The more we do these programs, the more people talk about sudden cardiac arrest. We're hoping that that's more opportunities to save lives.
Well, certainly if we're talking about a rate of 1 out of 10 people screened has an issue that ought to be looked at and cared for, that's a lot of children.
It's a lot of children, and not every one of those cases bans a child from participating in athletics. We had a child there, again, at the bill signing. There's a local child, goes to OLV, who had to go through a year.
OLV?
Our Lady of Victory School,
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's an elementary school in our area, in the Narston area. And that child has an exception now to be able to play baseball. So it doesn't necessarily end a child's opportunity to participate in sports, but no one wants that deadly silence on the field. When everyone panics, no one knows how to dial 911, that everyone's not recognizing what happened. A little bit different than a concussion. You know, the concussion, I'm not trying to put it down in any way, but there is that impact, there is that hit on the ground, helmet contact that people can
Are asking, is there something we should be doing?
Right. How's the helmet? How's the kid? This is silent. This is deadly, and we want to break the silence on the field.
And the new law that you've got in place and that Governor Corbett signed in Montgomery County is aimed to do just that.
Absolutely.
Raise awareness, tell people that there's something they ought to be looking at, and probably getting their children screened. Is this something you could screen a baby for?
Yes, interestingly enough, that electronic disruption can be detected pretty much at any age. They would love, obviously, this is not something at age 8 that all of a sudden comes about. So we would hope that parents, if they have an opportunity to have an EKG done on their child, to have it done. Obviously, at the opening physicals, the first physicals, beginning of the school year, doctors are not going to do this. They'll ask a lot of screening questions, but whether it's an infant or at age 8 or at age 10, we definitely encourage the screening to take place.
Now, if people want to find out more about this law, where should they look?
Well, I have a link on my website, which certainly you can have on yours.
Sure.
And then we'll also provide them with the Simons Fund information too, because Simons Fund gets further into the history of sudden cardiac arrest and how it became an issue.
All right. Well, thanks. That's very good information. I appreciate it. That's all the time we have for this month's program. I'm State Representative Kate Harper. If you have questions about what you've just seen, or if I can assist you with any state-related matter, please give me a call at my local office or through my website. That information will appear on your screen in just a moment. Thanks for watching. Please join me again for Legislative Report.